First, though, the chaos we've been reporting on from the streets today of Minneapolis after an ICE agent fatally shot a 37-year-old woman in her car. Homeland Security saying that she was trying to ram the agent, calling the shooting an act of self-defense. The mayor of Minneapolis says that's BS. Trial attorney Brian Claypool is up first this hour with us. And, you know, I thought John Sandweg made some very, very good points. He was a former ICE director on not rushing to judgment in a case like this. We do have video. We've shown some of the video. As a lawyer, how do you look at how this should be investigated from here?
Hey, Connell, great to see you again. Look, I will tell you, I've worked on at least a dozen cases over the years involving officer-involved shootings. And one thing that I think your prior guest really didn't underscore is we have a videotape of the shooting, right? That's new in our society. In most officer-involved shootings, you don't have the actual videotape, so he's right. Then you've got to resort to all the interviews of witnesses, interview the police officers. Was there anybody in the car to interview? What led to the detainment? But look, I will tell you, let's start with probable cause, Connell. That's the starting point for this case. Was there probable cause for these ICE agents to even be approaching her car to attempt to get her out of the car? What did she do? We do need those facts. What did she do that led up to that? Is there any audio dispatch, any audio tapes that would tell us what led to them getting to the car? You need to have that, right? Then let's talk
But even if you have that, then even if, for argument's sake, there was probable cause, you would still need much more. Is going to be your next point, is it, in terms of whether the shooting was justified?
Actually, there's an intervening point. Let's talk about the proper protocol when police officers are approaching a stopped vehicle. I've been through this a ton of times with the best use of experts in the country, Connell, and the way they should have handled that is those officers that were up at her handle, you would never do that. That's inviting.
So they're approaching this and get the F out of the car. Is the standard legally different at all for local police officers than for federal agents?
It's the same. The protocol for handling this vehicle stop is the same for these ICE agents and local law enforcement. What I'm trying to say is the officers on the left of the vehicle that went right up to the window, the side, the driver door, you don't do that. The officer stays back at a 90-degree angle like this, might pull his gun out. Then you have a second officer that's going around the vehicle on the opposite side to look into the window to see if she has a weapon or if there's anybody else in the car so that officer can tell the other officer whether there's an immediate danger. That would have been the proper protocol. You could ask any training expert in the country, you never walk up to the window and try to open the door of somebody that you've tried to pull over. That's next.
Okay.
Then let's talk about the use of force.
Right, at the very end. So you say these are intervening points. Now we get to the final stage. So they try to open the vehicle. She first puts it in reverse, then accelerates. It's an agent, not the two that approached, but a third agent that is standing directly in front of the vehicle that then pulls the weapon and engages in and shoots at the end. This is just the protests that took place afterwards, I believe, but we had the video that we showed you earlier, and we can re-rack part of that video now, maybe as Brian is describing them. So this last question is whether force is justified.
Yeah, so the standard is an objective standard. What do I mean by that? It's not whether the officer that deployed deadly force thought that he was in imminent harm of great bodily harm.
So here they come, right? They're coming up to the vehicle now. They approach, and now this is when the shooting takes place. Go ahead, Brian.
Right. So the million-dollar question is, would a reasonable officer in that same predicament have pulled his gun and shot the driver? I will tell you that the only fact that can change my mind on this being a bad shooting is whether the driver had a weapon in her hand, right? When the officer looked into the window, did he see her pointing something at him? Did they find a gun in the car or a weapon in the car? If they have not found a gun, any kind of weapon, and the officer says, oh, she didn't point her finger at me, then I would argue that at that moment, an objective officer is not deploying deadly force. Connell, that's last resort. Using a gun is last resort. One other quick point I want to make.
Okay.
Across the country, police officers, federal agents like this, they cannot put themselves in the zone of danger, they call it, right? They can't put themselves knowingly into a zone of danger, violate proper police protocol, and then use deadly force to justify their substandard police practices. I hope that makes sense.
No, I understand what you're saying. I would ask you one other question at the end. So I would say, it sounds to me like you think that this is a kind of an open and shut case, that there was no justification for the shooting. That, from what you're describing, what you're putting together, I would ask you if you see the argument at all that's been made by the federal government that this was, in their view, clearly self-defense. Could you see an argument that could be made there, or it's open and shut to you?
The only way I could see that, Connell, is, and you can maybe help me with this, I didn't see somebody standing right in front of, was there somebody standing right in front of her vehicle before she accelerated? I didn't see that. That
other agent, if we have the video again, yeah, so here comes, they're going to get out of the vehicle right now. Okay, so here they come. These are the two agents. Now, the agent that did the shooting, I believe, is in front of the vehicle. We'll stop it, and right there, there's where he is. And there he engages. So he's in front of the vehicle. Did she see him? That's a question. They're saying that he was targeted.
I will tell you, look, they escalated, the ICE agents escalated the situation. They didn't do proper protocol. Is there argument that her goal was to run them over? I didn't see her trying to run them over. But Connell, even that said, the prior guest even had said this. You're not supposed to be shooting at a moving vehicle anyway. You could have killed somebody, a pedestrian across the street. So that's another argument for not using deadly force in this situation.
Brian, we appreciate your legal analysis all the time. Thanks for coming on tonight. Brian Claypool.